Yuji finally puts an end to cursed spirits on Earth and begins his preparations for the next generation. The colored cover of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo Chapter 23, titled Ritual of Harmony, features Yuji and Mahito's faded reunion. And based on this coloring, Yuji's hair seems to be grayed, making it the only visible indicator of his age, something that only brings him closer to the image of his late master, Gojo. The mini-comic Osaki and Friends begins with the alien trio assessing their haul of Earthling liquor. The bald one was a bit nervous, and asked Dappa if he's sure they're not poisonous. Dappa hadn't thought of that, but was pretty sure, and he took the first drink to prove it. Seeing that, Osaki assumed it was safe, and the other guy picked up a bottle of his own, but Dappa stopped them. Just to be safe, he decided to check them all for poison. Osaki and Friends 2 shows us the aftermath of Dappa drinking most of them by his lonesome. He insisted that he wasn't drunk, despite nobody saying otherwise. With a big smile, he insisted on the same point, and still, nobody was arguing. Annoyed, Osaki decided to bring the troublemaker elsewhere. Soon, Deborah was asking the man if he's drunk. The suddenly meek drinker admitted to it. Once the powerhouse was gone, Dappa expressed his fear and relief. Osaki knew that facing the Diskunte warrior would sober his friend up quickly. Clearly, he wasn't drunk enough to lose all sense. Picking up from where we left off with their conversation, inside the playroom, a hooded Yuji explained to Maru that even if they remove cursed energy from the Japanese, cursed spirits will probably still be born. A revelation that made the boy question the whole point of their conversation. Yuji told him that it's pretty much impossible to totally remove cursed energy from people. Having to spell this out made it clear to him that Maru didn't so much as absorb the information in Yuki's notebook as gain the ability to readily reference it. Yuji decided to start by discussing the people outside of Japan who are said to have no cursed energy. As previously stated, aside from a few rare cases, cursed energy is unique to the Japanese and those of Japanese ancestry. Elsewhere, people do emit levels of cursed energy, but it is just very faint. As a result, cursed spirits are still born outside of Japan. There are very few cases of this, but every now and then, a strong one appears. A confused Maru asked him how they can be strong if the cursed energy is so weak. But as it turns out, that very weakness means that there are only so many places where the cursed energy could gather and take form without fading away. So weak cursed spirits like the ones that appear in mass in Japan don't even grow to the point of manifestation. At this point, it's been nearly 70 years since the knowledge of cursed spirits was made public knowledge, and since then, the cursed energy of people from overseas has been flowing into Tokyo. Which is to say that even if they get rid of cursed energy from the Japanese, cursed spirits overseas will continue to appear, and even do so in Tokyo like they've been doing. However, if their current location is the pathway for every soul on the planet, then that means that souls from overseas pass through it too. So in order to get precisely what Maru intends, they would need to totally erase cursed energy from all of humanity. But such a thing seems to be beyond them. Maru urged the senior to continue speaking while he consults his curse technique for the specifics. Thus far, Yuji has been talking about getting rid of cursed energy under the assumption that it's even possible in the first place. He double-checked that they were on the same page there, continuing to say that even if they change the very makeup of people's souls to remove cursed energy, the Japanese and Samurians would still emit faint levels of cursed energy like the rest of the world. So although the number of cursed spirits would plummet, the Japanese will still have the same situation as the rest of the world. Maru conceded the point. Since he's using his technique to bring about harmony between Samurians and Japanese, he can't do anything that would cause physical harm. And that made sense to Yuji, as with absolutely no cursed energy in their bodies, damage would be very likely. Aside from heavily restricted people like Maki, Toji, and Tsurugi, who've innately sacrificed something in exchange for extreme physicality, a person can't totally get rid of cursed energy. According to Yuji, it's simply the fate of humanity. Maru questioned if the risk of a few strong cursed spirits wouldn't be too much in a world without sorcerers. To that, Yuji promised to use his long lifespan to make preparations and deal with it ahead of the next generation, and that the result will be much better than the current power balance between sorcerers and cursed spirits. Furthermore, he expects the yearly number of manifested cursed spirits to be 5 or fewer. He would even ensure progress in regards to Tokyo's reconstruction. Maru was worried that in such a case, the Earthlings and Samurians would continue to fight over cursed spirits. So Yuji told him to just bring harmony to the cursed spirits too, by changing the very thing that causes Rumelians to confuse them with Kalyans. Yuji reached for the doll likeness of their most ancient Kalyan. With another doll in hand, he re-established that only those in need of harmony are summoned to this crossroad. With the two in hand, he asked Maru what's different between cursed spirits and Kalyans. He asked him why Rumelians feel like they're the same, and he's pretty sure that the old Kalyan is meant to give Maru the answer to that question. Yuji told him that cursed spirits are inherently evil, which is to be expected since they're born from cursed energy, but something resembling a cursed spirit isn't necessarily evil. Yuji told him about Master Tengen, an immortal sorcerer who was over 500 years old with an existence closer to that of a cursed spirit than of a human, yet they weren't a bad person. Then about his brother Choso, who was part human, part cursed spirit, and although they didn't get along at first, they grew to understand one another. As Maru consulted the creature with his curse technique for answers, Yuji postulated that the reason Kalyans attack everyone aside from Rumelians may be due to the same kind of evil as cursed spirits, what I'd imagine to be a pretty sacrilegious concept. Then Maru saw a blazing visual. He was stunned by the realization that the souls of Rumelians and Kalyans are the same color. Apparently, souls come in a multitude of colors, and Kalyans, cursed spirits, and Rumelians all share the same color. Cursed spirits are vessels created from the leakage of humanity's cursed energy. The issue arises from the souls that ultimately take up residence in those vessels, and such souls are the same color as the Kalyans and Rumelians. This is why Rumelians mistake cursed spirits for Kalyans, and why Kalyans don't attack Rumelians. Yuji processed the information that instead of being a reason for the Kalyans to attack, it's a reason for them not to, as instead of having physical forms, cursed spirits act as vessels for souls, which is a contradiction that causes a commonality between them and a species of immortal beasts that reside countless light years away. Yuji asked Maru if he believes something can be done about the color of their souls. Maru's response was that changing the color of a soul isn't something he can do, but he knows that there are other ways. Yuji pointed out how helpful it would be. Then he asked how it would work on unborn souls. Maru admitted that it wouldn't affect yet-to-be-born souls directly, but by remaking the passageway of souls on Earth into a place that can split and reshape them, they can scatter the color of souls, modify their forms, and eliminate as much cursed energy as possible. Yuji's expression hardened with the confirmation that there is no other way to get the job done. As with this method, they'll have a situation with the Kalyans aboard Naunax to consider. But instead of going to those details, for now, we find ourselves in an African settlement, which despite the passage of 7 decades, doesn't appear to have any futuristic elements. An elder offered the fabled black rope. Now within the passageway himself, Dabura looked at the cursed object within his grasp as Maru apologized to him. Maru knows that by interrupting a duel between warriors, he has dishonored their protector, something that he impulsively did in the past as well. And after having fought his own friend in a mortal duel, he understands just how wrong he was. Even so, he beseeched the strongest Samurian despite his rudeness. Dabura mulled over Maru's request for him to return to Samuria without the Rumelians, as doing so is the only way to save Yuka. Dabura is pretty sure that if it's just him and his sister, Maru can send them both immediately. He reminded the boy that he came to Earth to honor his promise to Dura, but now it seems like things will be safe for them. Maru confirmed as much. Dabura accepted his words and the fact that his role on the planet has been fulfilled. Looking at him now, Maru asked if something about the man had changed. With a smile, Dabura dismissed it and claimed to simply have caught up to his fellow warriors. Dabura's hooded sister, Spejo, approached him, and he told her that it's time for them to return home. Maru told her that with the power of the black rope, the Eskunte chieftain's curse on her has been broken, so there's nothing else keeping them from going home. She thanked him, but Maru just shook his head. As they walked away, Maru called out to Dabura. He expressed his certainty that they'll see each other again someday, especially now that he understands his curse technique. And with that understanding, he healed Cross and Tsurugi's fatal wounds, Usami's curse backlash, and Yuka's late-stage terminal brain cancer simultaneously. The alien smiled big once that was done. Next, he thanked Yuji and gave a deep apology. Yuji asked if he's sure that's all the help he needs. After all, there's still one major job left to be done. Maru agreed, but decided that he should probably do it on his own. Yuji accepted that, and suggested that they both do their own thing. And with that, they bid each other an encouraging farewell. Soon after, all over Tokyo, the souls of all cursed spirits were illuminated. Above it all, Maru stood beyond the sky. He spoke to the cursed spirits of Earth. Then he remembered Yuji's declaration that what he's going to do is an irredeemably grave sin. With that in mind, Maru realized that he wasn't prepared to take on the burden of such a major sin. He apologized to them all, and could only pray that they'll all be able to rest in peace. Then, by the unintended virtue of his curse technique, an identical hand gripped his own. Maru turned, awestruck. His brother Cross decided that they should do so together. In turn, both of their empty hands were taken by another. The Yelvori and Okotsu siblings were all together as one, and they were all prepared to accept this burden with him. Overcome by tear-inducing emotions, Maru thanked them. Then he collected himself. The countless souls rushed upwards around them. With streaming third eyes, the users of Chaos and Harmony declare the offering of their spirit-pacifying prayers at the conclusion of the Ritual of Harmony. Now, this is bound to be a divisive chapter. I'm sad that we didn't get to see a proper conclusion to Dabura vs Mahoraga's fight, but ultimately, there was no way to end it without the significant loss of either Yuka or Dabura, which would only make the relationship between the Samurians and Earthlings irreparable. That said, for as great as this series has been, Maru and Cross's curse technique is beyond plot armor. It is the author's pen. Chaos and Harmony should be renamed to Convenience and Friendship. But with all this, there is plenty of setup for another Jujutsu Kaisen story. We have Yuji's preparations for the next generation, fewer yet especially strong cursed spirits, fewer sorcerers, dwindling resources, a Dabura reunion, the Naunax Kallions, and cultural exchange and a fusion between Samurians and Earthlings. Let me know what you're most interested in, along with any hopes you might have for the end of Modulo. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.